Hello everyone, I'm Sagarika Bhatta from Parsif, Nepal. Now we are starting our session and we have our few members online from Parsif, Nepal. Welcoming together, today we'd like to welcome Mr. Adnan Arshad from PODA, Pakistan, and Samina Nazir, founding president of PODA, Organization for Development Advocacy, PODA.
Thank you.
About 15 to 20 minutes, he'll be talking about urban climate extremes. As we all know that Pakistan and Nepal are those few countries in which extreme climate impacts are gradually harming the urban areas. Also, the health and livelihood are in the top risk to climate extremes. Warming of just 1.5 degree could bring a very severe consequences for climate risk management. Also, the frequency of heat waves in recent years are rising in South Asia. So today, Adnan will be presenting his key findings of research on urban climate extremes. Also, I'd like to request everybody to mute your mic for a while. Later, we'll have open session for questions and answers. After Adnan's session, Ms. Samina Nazir will speak a few words on behalf of PODA. It would be an honor for us to hear from her. At 4:15 p.m. Nepali time, we'll open floor for questions and answers and opinions for about 5 to 8 minutes only. And we'll only take 2 to 3 questions. So in between the time, I'll be reminding Adnan and Ms. Samina Nazir about the time. So over to you, Adnan.
Thank you very much, Sagrika. Let me share where is my slide. Okay, so the slide is visible for you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So today our topic is more about urban climate extremes and how we can trust on our modeling scenarios. Modeling scenarios is actually about the simulations which we use for our future planning and policy making. So here are the SDGs which we are going to focus particularly on SDG 3, 7, 11, and 13. So because those four are more relevant for our cities and sustainable cities and societies and more relevant with our today's topic. So as before I start my technical part, I would like to share about little bit the basics of extreme weather, which you can say extreme climate, like drought, heat waves, frost, or any kind of erratic precipitation or some impact of other climatic changes like but when we categorize the extreme climate, then we separate in two parts. The first one is based on simple climate statics, which include extremes such as very low and very high daily temperature. But when we talk about the climate extremes, then we go further for the historical one, not only for the few days or few months. Then we just mainly focus on about the long term, the variation of weather and climate. If we just go through this slide, then you can see it starts from 1850, and then every year you can just see from the globe is about the global temperature, and every year there is a huge increase you can feel with the red color. And then in the last few lines, the 2000 and from 2000 through onward 2010 and then till 2018, there is the huge change after, you can say, the industrial revolution. And then if we just go further for the precipitation by the extreme precipitation change with the global warming, then you can see how the variation in the precipitation is going through with different countries and different regions on the globe. So when we plan our new cities, or even when we have our existing cities, we have to keep in mind how we can save our communities and how we can sustain our ecosystem in the cities. So if we go through the world risk index, then I only focus on Pakistan and Nepal, and then you can see the exposure to the world risk index. Nepal is also in the red line, and same as with Pakistan. And here, if the vulnerability, and you can see the vulnerability of Nepal is 62% with compared to the other countries. But here, susceptibility is also Nepal and Pakistan is on the top. So usually just to have in your mind how the things are getting in the South Asian region about the climate extremes. So when we just talk about the extreme weather, then you can see the weather is getting more wilder, more warmer, and affecting our communities more and more, and it's becoming more important for our business, even for our daily life. So we need to tackle the climate, and we have to be with some plan. Here is the map of Nepal with annual mean temperature, and you can see the red hotspots is the increasing temperature every year. So here is the map from Pakistan, and in 2018 we just hit it 50 degrees Celsius in April, which is the world record in the history of World Meteorology Organization. So what is happening around our cities? If we just go through these results, then you can see the comparison of our industrial city Karachi, which is the coastal city. This image is taken in 1984, and you can see there are water bodies and there are huge urban green spaces and less build up area in the city. But if we just compare it with the 2016 map, then you can see how the red spotted the build up area covered with the green, and green is just getting down lower and lower. So that is happening in that city, in the city. So this is just one example which I want to show you about how how the anthropogenic activities are impacting on our climate extremes. Another thing which is impacting on the cities temperature and cities extreme weather is about the neighboring forest. Like Karachi also have mangrove forest around it, and from last few decades we are just cutting the trees and destroying the ecosystem and biodiversity of mangrove forest, which is automatically impacting on the neighboring cities. So there is another example which I concluded on our capital city, Islamabad, and then you can see in 1976 and then 2000 and then 2017, the tree cover area is too much in 1976, and then compare with 2000 and 2017, the settlement area here is increasing more and more. And yes, this one. And then if we compare with the loss of tree and then comparison with the cover tree gain, and then you can see from 2000 to 2017 and compare with 1976 to 2000, there is impact assessment of historical damage caused by we usually call it margilla forest. So is happening deforestation around the cities. So this is another case study from Karachi. We have heat waves, and then you can see 2013 land cover area. Here is the more urban area, and here is the casualties in 2008 2015 heat waves. So just to keep in your, for your better understanding, I just have added this slide, and you can see the more compacted area with the urbanization has more casualties as compared with these areas, only 32. But if we go 59 and then 60, 45, because these areas are highly populated and full of buildings, and when compared with the build up area here in the C slide, then you can see there is less vegetation and more build up area without any water bodies. So here is the comparison is my undergoing study. about the comparison of climate extremes and heat wave frequency of Nepal and Pakistan, then you can see with the period of time, every year and every 4 to 5 years, there is a huge change in the extreme heat within the cities and within the countries. So Nepal is also impacting, and Pakistan is also already facing the heat waves impact in our region. So when we compare with 2014 map with 2009, then you can see this area is less than the area has less impact, but here in the Sindh province, it has more impact. Same with the Nepal region. So it's variating not only on the single part of the country. So when we have to plan our policies and decision making, then we have to keep in mind about the single city, because the one action plan cannot fix all the problem in every city. So we have to make planning according to the city topography, forest area, and the population count. So climate adaptation and national adaptation plan, which can help to control this kind of extreme events, because this can reduce the effect of heat island effect. So here it is very important to share what is the heat island effect. Every day the sunrise, so the sun rays warming up our soil, but the most technical thing is they are more focused on the paved area, the build-up area, more absorbent for the heat from the sun, and few trees and less green spaces can and waste generated from the industry and vehicles and pollution. So hotter temperature can affect our health and cost for cooling. So when the temperature of the city is increasing, we have to use more electricity, we use more air conditioning, and it pay more heat in our cities. Another one is vehicle. This is another comparison you can see in the normal days and comparison with the heat island days. So you can see the big difference of heat between these two. So when we plan, we have to be understand about our storms, drought, heavy precipitation, and when we simulate for the future scenarios, we have to attribute the technical document with the help of technical people, and we have to understand the living standard of our society. So what are the contribution to observe extreme event and to change in the frequency and intensity of the observed extreme, we have to keep in mind. So this plan will look at how we can change our system. It will help us to more resilient and recover more quickly and more extreme. Planting trees can also facilitate and increase our urban green spaces, and use energy efficient appliances at home, which can also help us to reduce the load of electricity and can help our power generation plants, which can burn less fuel, and it can also help to save more in our CO2 emission. And climate continue to change, so we have to adopt, build, and maintain sustainable, resilient communities. So if we just compare about the coping capacities and adaptation capacities of the two countries, then the Pakistan and Nepal, and same with Pakistan and Nepal, they are at high risk with very high margin of the lack of adopting capacities and computational capacities for the vulnerability. So the future simulation, this simulation is only based for the Pakistan, because I have not data from Nepal. So within 2010 to 2017, there is a huge increase which we are facing, which we have to face. This simulation is done by the model, but we cannot say it will be the same, but there is two simulation, and the temperature increase per year will be 0.04 Celsius every year. So if we go for another scenario for 2013 and 2016 and then 2019, it will be more hotter than the previous years, and then temperature may rise to the 7 degree every year, or even for one season. So rise in temperature, anomaly of Pakistan. So downscale future warming scenario, this is one, the RCP on 25 kilometers. And then this is the the model which we can adopt to our cities. The first S1 is nature for society, and there we only prepare our landscape in the cities to facilitate our societies, and we have to maintain the biodiversity and ecosystem with equal water bodies in the city. S2 plan is for nature. Here we only have to be more focused for our nature. Maybe some forests like mangroves or Margala forest in near Islamabad, we can protect with them for this scenario. But for this scenario, securing land for nature. So there are three different kind of future scenarios, or if you are going to plan a city, then it can help how you can maintain the ecosystem and biodiversity of the city. And this system can help us to create more green spaces in the area, because when we studied urban island effect, because it is more worst with the build up area, with the pavement or with the solid area as compared with the green spaces. So these three model can help us in the better way. But if we just it depends on every city and every community and the topography and the terrestrial status of the soil and even the neighboring cities. So it depends upon which plan is more better for the city and according to the climate and the extreme. Maybe this plan is not suitable for the coastal cities, but this plan can help more in the coastal areas. This plan is more better for there is few simulation about the S1 which can help more to cover the land area to protect our ecosystem, and then it can also help us to facilitate our societies and sustainable cities. So when we say about talk about sustainable cities, it means the cities which at maximum level protect more environment friendly with the, like there are few cities, I've been to Stockholm and I have been there, I have seen their the city planning, and they're maintaining and they are building another city which is far from Stockholm. So there are no possibility you can make the new building in that city, and even you cannot destroy any kind of forest or any agricultural land. So when we are being the local stakeholder or policy maker, or if you are working with the political stakeholders, then you have to convince them to enforce these kind of policies and laws about no one can protect the agricultural or forest area, because in the future, like in the Karachi city in 2015, more than 3,000 people died in just 1 or 2 weeks, and the temperature was like 45 degrees with followed by the humidity above 70. So this is the last slide, and if you have any question, here is our email, website of our organization and Facebook page. You are welcome to share with your experience, and if you have any question. Over to you, Sagarika.
Thank you, Adnan. It was very insightful. I think Miss Samina Nazir ma'am would like to speak few words.
Yes, thank you so much. Can you see me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Adnan, for organizing this and inviting me. And thank you, Sagarika, for including Pakistan in your program. Adnan, of course, has presented a very technical presentation to extensively cover the scientific issues. My brief conversation is more about, sorry, my conversation is more about the human aspect of this issue. So we are working with youth to create awareness about the issue of climate change. And we are working with communities to understand and to help them understand that their own behavior and lifestyles can have impact on the climate change issues, and what can we do to reduce our carbon footprint. So what we do is we engage in different activities and schools, in colleges, in universities, and then with the public community. So we start our conversation by talking about our use of energy, how we are using gas, electricity, water, what are the small things we can do to reduce the intake of energy. So for example, you know, a lot of people brush teeth and they keep the water tap running. People save the match and keep the gas running, or keep the cars running. Or so we start with this individual understanding and individual responsibility concept, that what can you do as a young person, as an individual, because a lot of people are not even aware of their own actions. So you know, turning off the unused lights or fans, or avoiding air conditioner when you can sit outside. This is a conversation we have with youth as a start, and then we share with them the more complex issues. Another thing that we have started doing in Islamabad is introducing the concept of carpool. Now there is Uber and Kareem, and they have helped in this issue, but we started doing that a few years ago, to say that you can share the vehicle in then we also organize an annual conference on rural women every year, and we try to link with environmental groups. This year we have organized conservation, climate change conversation corner, 4Cs, climate change conversation corner, and we shared information about the movement of Greta Thunberg. A lot of youth in Pakistan don't know about it. So we shared information about her as a student, how she started, what she has done. We also shared information about the climate summit and the different efforts that are taking place every year all around the world. We also partner with environmental groups. So we worked with an organization. It's called Green Circle Organization, and we have given small saplings of moringa plant to 5,000 youth in slums, in congested urban areas, and we have told them about the nutritional and environmental benefits of moringa, which is a native plant to Adnan's region, South Punjab. Moringa is locally called Swanjana, and it's considered a miracle plant that helps to bring the water surface up, and its leaves and every part of the tree has great medicinal benefits. So that is another effort we are doing. Sorry, when I scroll my page up, my screen disappears. Um, Another thing we are doing is we have conversation groups, youth groups, in which we talk about the link of environmental and climate change issues to human health. We started doing that about 2 years ago, and we have conducted focus group and theater plays and other ways of conversations about the pollution that is caused by the oil factories, by cement factories, brick kilns,
Ma'am,
tire.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have now limited time left. So
Okay, so I will conclude in 1 minute
yeah,
that we organize these talks on different topics, and we link that with the health issues, and we also link that with the global issues of weaponization and wars and the need for peace and the race for oil. And now with the COVID situation, a lot of these issues have come to the forefront, and I think it's an important time for us to think about it together. So these are some of the things that we are doing with youth in Pakistan. Thank you.
thank you, ma'am. Like summing up, Adnan speaks about impact how cities are facing today and the Sustainable Cities Plan. Ma'am talked about climate change awareness and engagement in community, how we can reduce carbon footprint and our daily lives, and energy saving and sustainable transportation, along with women empowerment in environmental field. So now we are open to some 2 questions only because we have very limited time. Would any like to speak? So there is one question: do we cover solution for urban climate too? Polista, could you speak?
Hi, my name is Paulista. So I was thinking about more modules on how urban areas can be designated for nature. In a really congested place like Kathmandu, how can we move forward with solutions to curb climate extremes? Except for like planting trees and all, what other solutions can we take?
Uh, Thank you. There are so many other solutions, and when we talk about the national adaptation plan, then we just not only go for the nature-based climate solutions, we also go for with the integrated one. You can use for to just minimize the high temperature impact on your city. You can create awareness among the communities. They can use the color. There are color codes by the UN Habitat, which you can use on your rooftops, which can reflect more and more sunshine, and which can help you to reflect more heat waves into the system, not into your roof, because when the sun is just going down and then all the heat already absorbed in your roof or in your building, it will start to get out. So it also create your environment more hot. This is just one example, and there are few other examples which you can only use. Not on no need to, if you don't want to plant a tree and it's not possible for a city, then you have to be like convince your people don't use their personal car. They can use public, or even they can use the more environment friendly ways like bicycle and other things which can help them. And because it also reduce the heat when we just turn on the engine of our car, it also creating huge combustion in our environment, so it can also help. Another, we can sensitize our communities to utilize natural resources. So there are few things on the end of our communities, because we always expect everything from our governments, but there are the equal responsibility from our communities. So not there are many more other solutions which you can adopt, like if the government want to have some new project, they have to be think in mind about what kind of system they can introduce, and what kind of, like if they want to just install a new power generation, then they have to think about which one is more sustainable and which one is more good for their environment. Like in our country, we bought so much uh, you can say power generation plants from other countries which are based by the fuel, and especially for not so much environment friendly. But other countries, like developed countries, they are shifting from these kind and more advanced technologies to produce electricity and make their environment more cooler.
Adnan, could you, in short, answer the question: is it possible to make those models real wherever every inch is taken? What is?
Actually, there are not only one or two models. There are so many models, and the scientists and meteorologists are working with them, because this is just kind of a simulation. So how we run the simulation? We just go through our historical data. The picture I have showed with the global mean temperature from 1850 to toward 2018, it is based on the temperature, the observed temperature. On the basis of that temperature, like if you ask me to simulate a model projection for next 20 years, for next 20 years, I will rely on the previous 20 years data. So the previous 20-year data I will get from Nepal Meteorology Organization. If I work in Pakistan, I will get it from Pakistan Meteorology Organization. With
Okay,
studying
now
that,
we do not have much time, and we cannot take next question. So I think we have only 2-3 minutes left. So I think we should go towards the end. Would you like to say something,
Yes.
Anna?
Yes. May I ask you something?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Mr. Adnan, let me say about the data. The data is how about the update data? Anything changed right now to be not to be extreme climate change? Because this situation, the emission may be breaking down or cooling down, and temperature and precipitation may be cooling down right now. How about that?
I think when we talk about the weather or climate, then we usually have the reference of our previous historical data. We not only focus on our model projections.
Adnan,
And
we
there are
only have 1 minute left. I think we should end this. We can talk. Maybe we can again organize next session later.
Okay.
So
Over
I'd
to
like
you,
to thank you
right
all
now.
for being present today. And maybe we could take questions later in next session. Again, we could organize next one. Thank you, Adnan and ma'am, for coming today with this wonderful.
Thank you so much for organizing this.
Thank you so much,
ma'am.
Sarika. Thank
And
you, everyone.
we will talk for some collaboration as well in future. Bye-bye.
Bye.